hello. I'm going to be doing a brief introduction into variable length subnetting, or VLSM as it's also known by. So in normal subnetting, you would take, let's say down here, we'll say this is a network. In normal subnetting, we would just split that network into two, and we'd have two separate networks. And we could organize that however we want with the hosts and other host devices. But with variable length subnetting, we're going to be a bit more particular and split those networks in half again. So we'll have different subnets of different lengths, which would make more networks more efficient. So on the left side, we have an example logical network that we're going to try variable length subnetting on. For the instructions, it gives us which hosts and which networks need subnetting. Right here, we see S1, so the switches. S1 needs 14, S2 30, S3 6, and S4 60. For variable length subnetting, I think it's best to start with the most hosts and then work your way down to the least. It's just neater and less complicated. So let's open it up. Okay. It's also important to talk about how we subnet it. So when we subnet, we break it in half. We start with 256. That's the most that IPv4 can give us. So we start with IPv6, perfect normal network with 256 hosts. So we split that in half, and we have 128, two 128s. And then we keep splitting that in half and a half. We see here we have 60 hosts, which is the biggest. And we want to see what subnet can have 60 hosts at most. And if we were to take 256 and split it in half, we have 128. And if we split that in half again, then we get 64. And 64 covers 60 hosts. So now let's see the second biggest, which would be 30. So let me write this down. We have 256. And then we split that in half. We have 128. And then we split that in half again. We have 64. And then again, 32. And that would fit the second biggest. Now, after that, we have 14. So 32 is a little too big. We could probably split it again, and we can. We'd have 16, which fits perfectly with 14. And then one more for the smallest subnet, which is 6. So we split that in half again, and we have 8. So yeah. It's also important to know how to write a subnet mask, because that's what breaks the network into That's what subnetting is. You mess with the mask, and it subnets the network. A normal subnet with 256 would be 255 dot 255 dot 255 dot 0. Now, if we were to split it into 128, that'd be all that, 255, 255, 255. But instead of dot 0, it'd be dot 128. And then for 64, we would keep the 128 and add 64 to that. So it'd be 196. Right? Yeah. 192, my bad. So now that we have the biggest network, we could start messing with the hosts and stuff. Okay, so here, here we're gonna write the IP address, which it should provide us with. Yeah, right here. So this is the IPv4 address for the network. So let's write that down. We have 10.11.48.0. And it says right there, it's a /24, which would be this subnet right here. We want to break it into 60 hosts, so 64 subnet, and that would be a /25.26. So let's write down the subnet mask, 255.255. And 26 we know is .192. Here, let me try to figure this out for a second. Oh, I might have accidentally put 196 instead of 192. Okay, so now that we have the subnet mask, we could try to figure out the IPv4 address. Since it's a host, we would want to do the last usable in the hosts were provided. Because when you subnet it, you have 64 hosts, but you only have 62 available, since 2 of those IP addresses would be used for broadcast and for the next network. So what's 64 minus 2? That'd be 62. All right, so we have user 4 out of the way. We can move down to 30 hosts down here. Might be the switch host. Okay, no, we have to mess with the router. It can be a little gross, but not too bad. So we go into privileged exec, and then global config. We need to find out which network. Okay, so it's in gigabit 01. Switch interface gigabit 0/1. Okay, now we could start messing with the IP address. Since this is going to be the router, it's going to be the default gateway. So it's going to be the very first usable IP address in the subnet. So we could write down real quick the IP address for the network, 11.48.0. So, and then we could write down 255.0. Okay. So now that it's with 30, we would figure out subnet with 30 hosts. So we know 128 would be .128, 64 would be .192, so we would just add 32 to 192, which would be 224. So we would use that, 224. And now, since the IP addresses that have 1 through 60, 62, since all of those would be for the subnet in switch 4, we would want to use the one after that. So the network after that would be network after 64, which is 65. And since this is the router, we'd start with the beginning IP address, which would be the first usable. So 65 would be first usable address. 65. Oh, and then we want to make sure the actual interface is active, so it could be used. That would be a no shutdown command. And there you go. So we have this all set up now, and the next highest would be with 14 hosts. So we could try to set that one up. That would be, let's check and see. Gigabit 0. I think that's 0. Inner. Wait, that's what I was just in. That wouldn't make sense. Here, let's figure this out real quick. With a quick show command just to see which interface this was going. Ah, it's 0, 0. Okay. So go back into global config. And instead of 0, 1, we do 0, 0. So that's this side of the network over here with 14 hosts. It's the same as over here. We'd use the first usable. So let's find, we'll just use this as like groundwork. So we know that now 64, all of 64 is all up here. And now up to 32 more is taken up here. So 64 plus 32. Let's figure that real quick. Not too quick with math. 64, 32, that'd be 96. So everything up until 96 is already taken as a network, so we have to use the one after 96, which would be 97. And since it's in the router, it would be the gateway, so it'd be the first usable, which would be 97. All right, subnetting. Hold on a second. Okay. We're going to speed it up a little bit. We're checking the results. Okay, so we need to set the default gateway. Okay, we need to finish up the IP addresses over here, and then we need to set the default gateway for switch 3, set up VLAN, and then set up default gateway for the user, which we almost finished. Okay, so for the user, let's set up the default gateway. That'd be 10.11.48. And then the first usable would be 1 for this network, since this is the very first network that we're subnetting. Okay. And then over here, we can finish this one up that we're doing. All right. Where did paint go? Okay. 96. So we figured this would be 96. Subnetting it. 96. Subnetting it. That would just be 16. So the one after that would be 240. Just see it's correct. Bad math. Okay. Struggling just a little bit. Okay, this would be 224 plus 16. Oh, shoot, it's 97. Okay, this is what I was talking about. 97 and 224. Okay, there you go. No shutdown. Just to make sure the interface is on. And now we're on to the switch over here. So this switch, we're going to solve this last network. It needs 6 hosts, and the closest we have to that is 8. Let me get rid of this so it's not confusing. So go into privileged, and then go into global config, interface. Actually, no, we don't. Yeah, interface VLAN. If I could spell VLAN 1. Okay, here, since it's a switch, it's the one after the default gateway. So that'd be the second usable, which let's set that up real quick. IP address. Type in the network Ipv4. Okay. Second usable. This is after the 60, and after the 32, and after the 16. So that'd be 96 plus 16 should be 810, I think? 18. Hopefully. 18. Okay. Subnet 255.255 dot. Since it is 8.16 would be 240, and then since it's just 8, we do 248. 248. I think that was right. No shutdown. If I could spell correctly. No shutdown. Okay, let's figure out what we did wrong there. Okay, so it was the IP address that was wrong. I did my math a little wrong. Let's go to the switch. Okay. So 118, we're doing this from 96. Oh, shoot. Why am I adding 16? It's 8. We're doing 8. We're adding this by 8. So 96 plus 8, that'd be 104. So it's not 118. Oh, no, I did 118. 104. That should hopefully maybe be the right one. It was not. Ugh. I'm killing myself. Okay. Let's check with our math again. All right, 64, 32, we got 96. That worked for this over here, so 96. That is what this is over here, right? Yeah, 97. Okay, so 97 plus 16 would be 118. So we're setting up the VLAN. First usable would be 119. Second usable, we want to use second usable. So that'd be 120. See if that is right. Ah. Okay, it's still not right. Okay, we'll ignore that for right now, and we'll set up the default gateway. We'll just okay. We'll exit. All right, to set up the default gateway, IP default gateway, and then we type in the network. 48. Okay, default gateway would be the first usable. After all of this, the first usable should be, we'll look at our math. Should maybe be 119. We will check and see. It is not 119. Okay. I did my math wrong somewhere. 18. Okay. This would be dot 24. 240, my bad. 8 would be 248. Best usable is 16. Is it 1 because it's in this network? It isn't. Check results one more time. Okay. Struggling just a little bit, just a little nervous, so I'm gonna take this slow. Okay, so 96. That was this one. The first usable was 97. So 96 plus 16 was 118. So the first usable would be 119. That should be the first usable. So the second usable, let's type, use 119. This was 32. This is 64. This was 16. 112. Okay, apparently it's 112. 6 plus 6 is 12. 6 plus 6 is 12. Okay, I was doing my math wrong. This is 12. This is 112. Oh my gosh. This is 112. It is not 112. First usable 113. Okay, so math wrong. My network would be 112. The first usable would be 113. So that means our let me just type it in. Okay, interface VLAN 1 IP address. I could spell 10.11.48. The second usable to 112 would be 114. Let's try that. I didn't type in the subnet. Okay, 255.255.248. It should be 248. 248. There you go. That's how you